Bula, my name is Neisau Tuidraki, and I am here today with Clarence Dass, who's part of the Soli Bula crew that is making this film come to life. So let me just throw over to Clarence. Clarence, tell me a bit about what you're doing at the moment in the film, basically what your job is.
Okay, so I am the background artist for the project, which means that for all the shots and I do like the background scenery and I work with the team to find out things that I can add in the background to sort of bring more life to the story through through storytelling through the background. So whether it be like world building elements or like the location and things like that, that's what I'll be drawing and painting.
Awesome, awesome. So if I can ask, like what drew you into Soli Bula? Like what's something that really interested you or thought, you know, this is a project I really want to sink my teeth into?
Well, Melly's been a friend of mine for a very long time, and I liked his last project that he did when he did the poetry, You, the Choice of My Parents. I thought that was a very cool idea, and I think it's like animated work coming out of the Pacific and coming out of Fiji, especially, is something you don't see that often in terms of like short films and projects and things like that. So that was the first thing that got me excited for the project, knowing that Melly was going to do a full animated short. And the second thing was the subject matter of the sort of the Fiji untouched by Western civilization, allowed to sort of grow on its own. Because I have a deep interest in Fijian history and especially pre-colonial history, not just for this project, but also for some of the projects I'm working on myself. And yeah, so those things combined was very interesting for me.
That's great. So can you tell me, you know, I'm interested in you, basically, your journey as an artist, you know, like how did you start? And, you know, like what was that like for you, you know, becoming an artist in Fiji?
Well, I've always been drawing. As a kid, I would draw little comic books, or I would draw on the back of paper, anything we'd find, textbooks, school books, exam papers, and things like that. And I even studied visual arts when I left high school, but sadly, I could never make a career out of it. So I started doing video editing and TV production and radio production. But I'd always been sort of drawing and doodling in the background. And recently, even though I've done some drawing projects in the past, probably for the last 2 or 3 years, I kind of thought that maybe I could do this seriously. So I've sort of been honing my skills and doing tutorials and pretty much like just self-taught and just looking at the stuff that inspires me, like comic books and animation project, animated movies and things like that. So and since then I've done a couple of projects, mostly to do with comic books, like teaching kids how to do comics based on social issues and things like that. And just projects for NGOs, and so it's coming along. So as an artist, it's like a very fresh career for me.
That is so awesome. So, okay, so what's one thing that you will be excited to see once this project is up and off the ground?
Okay, I don't want to give away spoilers or anything, but I just want to see the reaction of people seeing a project about Fiji that sort of foregoes like the Western idea of Fiji or things like that, because so many of the things we know about not just Fiji but the Pacific Islands and stuff, it's got like an outsider's eye view of things we look at, because all our textbooks and all our programs and all our documentaries are mostly done by people from outside who come in, and this is like a fresh take told by locals about the way that Fiji could have been if we didn't have the outside influence. And it's brutal at times, but it's also sort of beautifully poetic in the way that Melly's decided to show it. So I'm really looking forward to the reaction, and I'm really looking forward to this piece being out there, and hopefully it'll inspire people to sort of do their own piece and their own take on their stories, you know, about Fiji.
I'm so excited to see this. I can't wait. Okay, so, you know, this is the first big production for an animated film, which is composed of an all Fiji crew, from sound to illustration to music to our cultural advisor. And I think it's a big deal because it shows, yes, Fijians can do this. What do you hope this will do for the industry, for the community of artists?
Okay. Well, first of all, like art in general, I think in the Pacific and in Fiji in particular, it gets so little attention. Like animation, like the understanding of animation in particular is so warped that people think it's something you can just do anyhow, or do within a couple of hours. So hopefully it'll like making something that's animated. It'll show that there are other cool avenues to tell Pacific stories, because we know, like in the past, Pacific stories, because Pacific Islanders are natural storytellers, and they pass on stories through music, through art, through dancing. But now we have new avenues. We have social media. We've been using video for a long time, live action, and hopefully now we can use art, like modern art, like what we're doing now, like me coming from a comic book background, and then the animation that Melly and Tui and Michael and them are doing. Hopefully it'll inspire people to do projects, through a new lens, like show off local ideas at an international level, because we're trying to make this as polished as possible. So show off local ideas and local stories and Pacific stories, but at an international level through something new, and in this case, animation. So, and the thing about animation is, unlike like when you do a movie or something, I mean, it's a lot of work. But if you do like a movie or a documentary, you have to do a lot of traveling. There's so many people involved. But animation and art is something like comics and animation is something you can just sort of do with a small crew on your own pretty much, hopefully I'm just repeating myself, but
That's all right.
The gist of it is I hope it inspires Pacific Islanders and people in Fiji and the local gang to sort of find new avenues to tell old stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, like you touched briefly on this, like working remotely. I mean, COVID has brought like a whole nother dimension of working from home, right?
Right.
So now that you guys are well into the production, what's it been like for you working remotely in your own bubble, and what do you do to keep sane?
The funny thing is, even though we're at home, the way that Melly and Michael, I mean, not so much Tui, I mean, no, but you're cool, Tui, but the way Michael and Melly and I, we see each other online all the time. So we're always chatting through G-Talk or Messenger or something, so this is sort of like an extension of that. So whenever we, and because of modern technology and the way social media works and all these things, like the convenience of things like Dropboxes and online drives, we're just sort of we have like a system in place where we can put up the work, we can share it with each other, and then we can keep talking about it. And it's like normal to us. We're always online together anyway. So it's almost like it's an extension of that, and it just feels very normal. But it's good because for the last 2-3 months, I've been stuck at home with my beautiful wife and my pets, and I've been slowly going crazy. And I'm glad that I've got like a nice outlet for like just to keep my creative juices flowing and things like that.
That's awesome. Look, I just also wanted to, as I think I wanted to talk to you right now about, like where Fiji is at the moment, COVID, you're in the thick of it at the moment, how are you coping, like how are you coping with that situation, like in Fiji, it's not the best of times for us, for Fijians back home. So how are you doing?
Well, to be honest, what we're going through right now is what I thought we'd be going through last year. I mean, Fiji being such a small place and the way we live so communally, and then it's like something like the COVID could just, it's like almost ripe to be spreading. So we avoided it last year and it's here now. But I think between last year and now, majority of the population have gotten used to being locked down and following procedures and stuff like that. I mean, you hear stories about some people not being happy about it or whatever online, but the numbers show that the majority of the people, they do know what it will take to get through this, because we, of course, we want the borders to open and we want our economy to come back up, and Fiji being so dependent on tourism and stuff, we want that stuff to be working. So a lot of people are getting the vaccine shots and things like that, and and gearing to get Fiji back open.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I've been fortunate because working with I can say I work for USP, and I've been lucky that USP sort of been letting us work from home, and so financially I haven't been too affected. And my wife is working from home as well, so the two of us are doing well. Not speaking for everybody in Fiji, I know some people are going through some hard times, but for us, we just, yeah, it's just keeping to curfew, and we only go out when we need to, buy what we need, come back, and we keep our bubble very small. So whenever, like Michael, whenever he's in town or whatever, we have a coffee. But otherwise, we're just doing our part to make sure we can get through this soon.
Hey, sir. Thank you so much, Clarence. All the best with the production in the upcoming weeks, and I can't wait to see what you guys have upcoming. Thank you, guys, and that's it for my Q&A session with Clarence Dass.